Donald Trump doesn't care. He doesn't care about Charlie Kirk. He doesn't care about crime. There is nothing that Donald Trump actually cares about except the grift, staying out of jail, and expanding his authoritarian project. Anytime that Donald Trump says that he's worried about something, trying to combat it, trying to keep you safe, what he really means is he's making up some fear-mongering enemy that he can use to justify becoming even more fascistic. And the latest example might be blowing up in his face like no other, because Donald Trump, after an insane post, is now being hit with a nice little lawsuit that we are going to get into, and what the effects are for Stephen Miller and Donald Trump's illegal deportation plan. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button, because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now, before we can get into the Trump lawsuit that is blowing up one of the biggest aspects of his deportation agenda, I want to start with someone who has been calling it out like no other, diagnosing how evil it is, and that's Gavin Newsom right here.
Donald Trump sent masked men to the event, ICE and Border Patrol, primarily the Border Patrol, to intimidate folks. Poor guy who was selling strawberries was arrested. I imagine he must have been on the most wanted list. Dangerous felon. Disappeared. That is a preview of things to come. Don't think for a second he's going to stop at the National Guard. It's an interesting fact. 4,000 National Guard were federalized, over 700 members of the United States Marine. 95% of them did nothing. They sat there looking for things to do. Hundreds plus $1 million wasted. Literally looking for an assignment. They were taken off the beat. These are police officers, your National Guard. These are firefighters. These are teachers. These are caregivers. They were taken off the streets doing real work to keep you safe and protected, to keep you healthy. And they sat there in the armory looking for something to do. He will send the National Guard. He will send them all across this country, and he will do so through Election Day. And if you think I'm exaggerating, consider the fact that as he demobilized our National Guard, he kept hundreds of them through Election Day. And he'll do so working in concert, as he has with ICE and Border Patrol, to do the same. You have the largest private police force in the world. When they're done with this, all that funding and that big, beautiful portrayal allows more resources for this private police force that increasingly is showing a tendency not to swear an oath to the Constitution, but to the President of the United States. And he'll be sending them to voting booths and polling places all across this country. This is a real and serious moment in U.S. history. And by the way, I say that as an American, not as a Democrat. Every Republican should be ashamed about this and scared to death about not just these authoritarian tendencies, but these authoritarian actions by the president. He is weak. He's weakness masquerading as strength. And that makes him more dangerous than most people believe.
Donald Trump doesn't actually care about these issues, and we shouldn't take him seriously. Donald Trump earlier today said that it was a tragedy what took place, and it was, at the church in Michigan, which was attacked by a gunman today. But Donald Trump doesn't actually care about political violence. Donald Trump doesn't actually care on what he called an attack on Christians today. Donald Trump only wants to use these examples to expand his authoritarian project. Donald Trump is responsible for these shootings. Donald Trump is responsible for political violence. All of these events are his fault. So if he actually cared, he would do something about it that wasn't just trying to stoke the flames even further, which is what he did in this post that led to this lawsuit. Trump wrote in a Truth Social post yesterday, at the request of Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem, I am directing Secretary of War Pete Hegseth to provide all necessary troops to protect war-ravaged Portland and any of our ICE facilities under siege from attack by Antifa and other domestic terrorists. I am also authorizing full force if necessary. Thank you for your attention to this matter. There is no threat from Antifa. No one in Portland has turned the city into a war zone. Donald Trump is simply after a spectacle that can justify further action in creating a police state in America. That's what Donald Trump wants. It's what he tested out in D.C. He wants to do it in Baltimore. He's going to do it in Portland. He tried and failed to do it in Chicago, but he wants justification to send his troops in to blue cities around election time. Like, that's what Donald Trump is going to do. And we got to make that incredibly clear. And we got to fight it right now, which is exactly what's happening with this lawsuit. Just in, Oregon sues Trump for unlawful troop deployment, incompatible with liberty and democracy. The state of Oregon on Sunday filed a lawsuit to block Donald Trump's administration from deploying troops to the city of Portland 1 day after the commander-in-chief announced he was sending the National Guard to the war-ravaged city. The 41-page filing claimed the president trampled on the Constitution by federalizing members of the Oregon National Guard for deployment. Our nation's founders recognized that military rule, particularly by a remote authority indifferent to local needs, was incompatible with liberty and democracy, the lawsuit said. Foundational principles of American law therefore limit the president's authority to involve the military in domestic affairs. Trump's provocative and arbitrary actions threaten to undermine public safety by inciting a public outcry, the lawsuit added. The city of Portland joined the state in the lawsuit, which was filed in federal court in Portland on Sunday. On Saturday, Trump, of course, made that insane post authorizing full force. Just hours later, Oregon's governor slammed Trump's actions during a press conference. There is no insurrection, there is no threat to national security, and there is no need for military troops in our major city. The governor said military service members should be dedicated to real emergencies. Of course, Donald Trump doesn't care. The governor also urged, let's not take the bait, let's not respond to what the president is trying to do. The mayor of Portland also added in a release statement saying Trump has directed all necessary troops to Portland, Oregon. The number of necessary troops is 0 in Portland and in any other American city. Our nation has a long memory for acts of oppression, and the president will not find lawlessness or violence here unless he plans to perpetrate it. That is what Donald Trump wants. Donald Trump wants you to believe that Portland is this violent city in chaos. But as we can see here, all of the images of Portland are of people living peacefully, hanging out. The only person who is trying to create a stir is Donald Trump, because that is what he is fundamentally focused on. This is all a game to him. It is all a stunt. It is all a bit. And that is especially the case in the wake of the Charlie Kirk shooting. MAGA is not rallying around some figure that they think they need to grieve. They are rallying around a puppet whose body they think they can use to perpetrate their agenda. And no one seems to be casket surfing. Actually, funny enough, and not just more than Donald Trump is not the person winning at that battle. It's not. Funny enough, it's this kid, Bryland Hollyhand, who just you've never heard before. But I talked about the real biggest exploiter of Charlie Kirk's death, who isn't Trump, surprisingly, with my buddy Cam Caskey on The Bulwark. And I want you to take a look, because this is really interesting. If you thought that Donald Trump was exploiting Charlie Kirk's death, wait till you take a look at the casket surfing conservative kid who thinks that he's Charlie Kirk's protege. I'm Jack Cottrell on The Bulwark, joined by Cam Caskey to talk about Bryland Hollyhand, a name that you haven't heard before, probably, and hopefully we'll never actually have to hear again.
Bryland Hollyhand is being framed as the successor to Charlie Kirk. I think he's like 14 years old or some shit like that. And he's really interesting. I'm so excited to get into this conversation because if you thought Charlie Kirk was bad, we've got a Charlie Kirk here whose delivery is just so much worse. But first, I want to give you a quick look at Bryland Hollyhand's grief in the wake of Charlie Kirk's gruesome killing. Let's take a look.
It's also an incredible story that you share with us really quickly, Bryland, about fourth grade, a podcast. That's incredible. And Charlie Kirk appears on your podcast. Tell me about the role he played for you as a mentor.
He's so happy.
Yeah, again, it's somebody that didn't
whites.
have to do that. He was on Fox News every other hour that year. He didn't have to make time
jump scare,
as
ugly.
an 11-year-old with this upcoming podcast in the fourth grade to come on and join me, but he did. And not only was it a one-time thing.
That's a bad-looking picture of Charlie. Charlie's a better-looking guy than that. I'm not saying Charlie's a good-looking guy, but that's like an unflattering picture.
Me. Like, he didn't have to do that. He could have been competition.
All right, we've had enough of this, kid.
Yeah, so I don't like to act like human beings experiencing grief cannot smile and laugh in the different moments where anybody can find joy. But I mean, this kid looks like it's fucking Christmas morning and his parents just got him like the biggest Lego set in the entire world. And I think that it speaks to how the larger conservative movement has responded to the death of Charlie Kirk. It's been a huge career opportunity for them, and you're seeing it's putting kids like this on the map.
Yeah, and I want to play off your point there a little bit that people can, feel grief differently. But like Erica Kirk sending out email blasts and coming out to pyrotechnics isn't exactly like I mourn for my husband. But this kid is especially bad because it's very obvious what he is. And it's just like, as they would say in the movie industry or the music industry, he's an industry plant. His dad is a mega donor. He didn't have an upcoming podcast when he was in the fourth grade that he was getting Charlie Kirk on because he was so awe-inspiring.
Let's make sure we get this straight, because you've known who this guy is.
Yes.
This guy has been on your map. A lot of people, including people who watch this stuff as closely as you, were not aware of who Brylan Hollyhand was. I had never seen Brylan Hollyhand, and I like to can you just give me like the Wikipedia one paragraph look
Yes.
into what this kid's all about?
I am upset with myself for how chronically online I am, just because all this week with this kid has been popping up for a certain video that we're going to check out a little bit, and you're going to get a big laugh out of, I promise. People have been like, I've never seen this kid before. Unfortunately, I have, because he is a part of a certain Fox News circuit that drives me crazy. We have refused to uplift up-and-coming folks on the left and bring them into like kind of more of our mainstream spaces. We're doing a lot better of a job with that, building out independent media, but Fox will bring on the most sauceless, like credentialless young people in the world to just go and deliver bad talking points on like Saturday and Friday nights when no one is watching. And you'd see this kid a lot, and he'd always make the same like blue hair, nose ring liberal joke, and no one would laugh. He's got no sauce.
Wait,
He's got
like,
no
where did he come
charisma.
from?
He came from the fact that his dad is a mega donor of the GOP, and they got a ton of money because his father was like a slumlord building Section 8 housing. Like, that's literally it. That is it. That is the Bryland Hollyhand, or whatever the hell his name is, story, is that his daddy's got a bunch of bucks. He gives money to a ton of GOP candidates. His son's got a podcast that nobody watches, and so he gets to appear on Fox and act like he has credibility or some personality, which he just doesn't. And now, in the wake of the Charlie Kirk shooting, in the wake of his death, this kid is saying that he's traveling the country to talk on college campuses, when really he's just going to meet with like 20 of the young Republicans and the Young Republicans Club on any given college campus.
Bro's getting put on Ben Shapiro. He's getting put on the Fox News shows. Like,
But no one likes this kid, is the main thing. Like, he doesn't have an audience.
But that's that's how what I would have said about JD Vance. Like, nobody liked JD Vance, even when he became the fucking vice president of the United States, right? It's all just MAGA world being this large narrative of, if you like Trump, we all like each other, which is something that the left is understandably missing.
This is what MAGA wants to do. They want to exploit any crisis, any shooting, any act of political violence for their own gain. And in this instance, for Bryland, who's an interesting type of person to be a conservative, I'll leave it at that. I think you can fill in the blanks of what type of person I'm referring to for Bryland to be, and also be a part of the far right, the far Christian right. I think we can fill everything in. I don't think I necessarily need to say that Bryland might be. I think you can kind of guess where I'm going there. But this is a kid who's clearly trying to capitalize, as so many are right now. None of these people cared about Charlie Kirk. I doubt that any of them were like really friends. Even his wife is fundraising off of his death. As always is the case with the followers of Donald Trump, they have learned one thing, and that is the grift. The grift that we will be calling out on this show. If you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video. If you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And if you want to support the show in another way, you can become a subscriber to my Substack by clicking right here or down below. Keep on fighting. Don't let them silence you. And until next time, I'll see you soon.